So just recently this week, Benjamin Netanyahu gave a presentation of sorts, and he also made a speech along with this that I think a lot of people need to pay close attention to. Now, he also recently said that he wants to move away from the dependence on the United States. He wants Israel to move away from U.S. dependence within 10 years. But there's a reason for that. So we're going to start with the economic statement first, and then we're going to get into what he says about the future of Gaza. And it should send a red flag to everyone because all these politicians are lying to you, whether it's about this Trump Gaza plan or whatever. You need to hear what Netanyahu is saying. It's a shame. A lot of people did not cover the story, mainly corporate media. But you can see this right here. We're going to get started with the economic portion of this presentation. Right here, he is talking about Israel's debt to GDP ratio. Everyone pay close attention to this.
Let's look at what happened. This is 2002, 2003. Israel was right here. I had the good fortune of steering it into a free market economy. You can see what happens. The debt to GDP ratio goes down and stays down. But look at what happens in the other economies. Look at the USA, shoots up. Look at the advanced economies, Europe and others, goes up. This is the health, the vibrancy of Israel's economy.
So does everybody see what is going on here with the debt to GDP ratio? Netanyahu just showed you that when you compare Israel to the other countries in the West, in particular the United States, they are remaining steady and we are not. This is debt to GDP ratio. Now, part of this has to do with the fact that we give them resources, right? We provide resources to Israel. We give $3.8 billion a year to Israel. And that was prior to October 7th anyway. So we're giving everything to them, but look at where we are on that chart. So their economy, according to these numbers, is remaining steady, even post October 7th, but ours is not. So once again, this goes to show you this is what happens when you don't take care of people right here at home and you send those resources abroad. They're doing just fine. And I also believe this is part of the reason why he said he wants to move away from U.S. dependency within 10 years, because number one, they pretty much have everything that they need. And number two, they can always lean on other countries for that. One of them in particular that they're looking at is India. They're looking at going to India for help. Let's continue on a little bit more here.
And it really didn't change because of the war. It really didn't change. It's an amazingly resilient economy. Next. This is the unemployment rate. Goes down, 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 and goes down. Keeps on going.
Israel's unemployment rate is steadily going down over the years. Now, this graph starts with 2009, bringing them all the way to 2025. The United States unemployment rate has increased. You see what I mean when I say foreign policy is domestic policy? They're doing a lot better than we are here, and we're helping them out, but we're not helping our own people here. That's the unemployment rate.
People have jobs. They'll continue to have jobs. Next. This is how much, this is, I'm putting this up, the electricity prices in Israel, because it's a reflection of a great reform that we did, which is getting natural gas out of the sea. And what it does is it pushes Israel to this end. We have cheap energy.
So do you see what I mean? When it comes to the electricity prices, Israel is at the lower end. They're not paying as much for electricity as we are in the United States. So their electricity prices are still lower than ours. You see what I'm saying? So this is why I say, no, these policies have not been America first. They've been Israel first. So I'm glad that he did this presentation so I could show people just how this really impacts us here. Now we're going to go to the tech company portion of this economic speech. Most major tech companies that have the largest R&D centers outside of the U.S. are located in Israel. So look at this.
Well, this is clearly the winner, the United States, naturally. This is in absolute prices, 2023. Let me tell you that our indications for 2024, that it's considerably higher for Israel than what it was in 2023. So I don't have yet the results for 2024, but the early indications are it's considerably larger. So the first country in the world receiving foreign investments for R&D is the United States. And the second country receiving investments for R&D in absolute terms is Israel.
See?
And the third country is Germany, which is 10 times our size in population, roughly, okay? And it's a third, it's actually considerably smaller than Israel. And down it goes, UK, France, and so on. This is a very powerful economy.
See? So when it comes to the tech companies, they are right after the United States. Because I'm glad he did this presentation, because this proves my point that they don't need our help. They are fine. The numbers for us are not good. The unemployment rate is not good. The energy prices compared to them is not good. You guys are paying more for electricity. We have a higher unemployment rate. We have college graduates that can't find jobs, despite what politicians may tell you. That's a reality right here in this country, because all the presidents that have been around in my lifetime did not invest in the people right here. They spent so much money bombing countries abroad, giving money to Israel, patting Wall Street on the back, but they never helped out the people. So what has happened is that Israel has been able to develop a growing, prosperous economy, and we are on the decline. And part of me believes this is intentional. Remember what I told you about that prediction that came from Professor Jing, where he was saying that his prediction is that a lot of the tech is going to eventually end up in Israel. Well, now you see they're right behind us. Eventually, the prediction is that they will be, the source of power will be right there in Israel. So everyone has to pay attention. It goes on to one more part here.
It's an economy of 10 million people, but they're very gifted people, amazingly gifted. So let's look at the next point. This is our defense industry budgets, which I spoke about yesterday. The defense industry is very strong. It's now, this is record exports, $15 billion. But, here's the but. Everything else is basically controlled by market forces. There's a global economy, and people have an opportunity to get on board. And that's my message to all the investors. Get on board now.
Now that was defense. Now let's look at defense again. This is what I want to show you. Over the years, this is billions of dollars. They have continued to increase defense money. Now, this is the money that is coming in from a lot of us. Look at this. If you go all the way back, let's go back before October 7th, even in 2022, $12.5 billion. It increases over time. Let me get him out the way. Move. Over time. In 2014, they were getting $5.7 billion. Look at where they are now. You see how it continued to increase? This is very, very alarming. This is what I've been trying to tell people for the longest time. They don't really need us. The United States basically sees Israel. And I said before, I feel like it's basically a military base in the Middle East. It's a U.S. military base in the Middle East. That's really what I believe Israel is. But our money's going out the door to them, and we're having a lot of problems here. Now, I know a number of people say, well, Benjamin Netanyahu lies. Yeah, he does. But if you look at the numbers across the board, they are not struggling there the way that people are struggling here in the United States. Yes, they get cheaper electricity than us, and they keep getting an increase in defense. It's very clear who needs help and who does not need help. And that brings me to the next part of this speech where he gave here. For whatever reason, and I told you this before, when he talks about certain things, sometimes he'll talk in English, other times he'll talk in Hebrew. When he starts talking about the plan for Gaza, he's speaking in Hebrew. Remember what I told you? That means he's really speaking directly to them. but there is a translator here, so thank goodness. You need to hear what he says is next for Gaza. And it's not what Trump is saying. It's not what the Biden administration said. It's not, none of these politicians are telling you the truth. And there's one part in particular that you need to pay attention to when he talks about the state, a state for Palestine. So listen to this.
Now we are focusing on completing the two remaining tasks to disarm Hamas and to disarm Gaza and destroy the tunnels. There are only two options. Either it will be done the easy way or it will be done the hard way. But in any case, it will happen. I'm hearing now, too, people saying that we should allow the rebuilding of Gaza before the demilitarization. That will not happen. I hear that people are saying that Turkish and Qatari soldiers will be allowed in. That will not happen either. I say some people are saying that this will be a Palestinian state in Gaza. It hasn't happened and it won't happen. And everyone knows that the one who stopped the establishment of a Palestinian state was me and my fellow cabinet ministers.
So that's the part that's really important for people to hear. He is telling you there is not going to be any rebuilding in Gaza as long as Hamas is armed. That will not happen until after they disarm. So remember that when you hear these statements coming from Jared Kushner, when you hear it coming from Donald Trump. The other part that's important, there will not be a Palestinian state. Now, he said this before in the past. I don't know why people pretend like this is going to happen when it's not going to happen, as he's made it very clear. It's not going to become a Palestinian state. I'll play the rest of the part in just a second, where he goes on to say that Israel is going to control all of it, which means the Palestinian people are still going to be occupied. Now, I wanted you to hear that for this reason. Hear me very loud and clear. Anytime you hear a politician say that we need to have a Palestinian state, we need to move to a two-state solution, you need to know these people are fooling you. They are not telling you the truth. They already know that that is not going to happen under the Likud party. They know this. I don't know how many times Benjamin Netanyahu has to say this for all Americans to truly understand this. Every politician, and I don't care if they're Republican, Democrat, Independent, any politician that you see on TV saying, well, ideally, we need to move towards a two-state solution, these people are gaslighting you. They know that that is already off the table. They have been known it is off the table. You need to remember this now that we're in the midterms, and come 2028, don't forget it. Because I think we're going to hear a lot of these presidential candidates say we got to move towards a two-state solution. It's a gimmick. It's a game. They're gaslighting. They already know it's not going to happen. So you got to push back on them about that. Now listen to this part.
Today and tomorrow, we will not allow it. Israel will control the entire area from the Jordan to the sea militarily, and that is true in the Gaza Strip too.
Well. And this is what we've been saying for the longest time. When Jared Kushner talked about this rebuild and he was showing, oh, well, there will be residential housing here and there, etc., they make it look like this new project is going to be great. What they don't tell you is that Israel will still occupy Gaza. The Palestinian people are not going to be free. Here he is saying it again, very blatantly, very clearly, to let you know they are not leaving Gaza. Any politician who tells you that they are is gaslighting you. So I don't care how many times he sits down with Donald Trump and says, yes, we're going to work on this. I don't care about that. When he speaks to his people and he's speaking in Hebrew, he has his own agenda, his own plan. And Donald Trump knows this too. So what we will not do is we will not sit here and allow everybody to be gaslit into thinking that this two-state solution is going to happen because they're trying to rebuild Gaza. Israel is not going to leave Gaza. They're still going to occupy it. Let's look at what he said here. I want to show you what he means when we look at this map. River to the sea. I'm going to show you the map and the charts. So here's the river, the Jordan River, and here's the sea, the Mediterranean Sea. That includes Gaza. That includes the West Bank. All of this, they will eventually take. And I know, Donald Trump told him you cannot annex the West Bank. But again, it's just more gaslighting. They all know the plan. And if they didn't want the plan, they would not work alongside Israel and support them. That's what he means. Now, we know that he's already gone into Lebanon. We know they've already gone into Syria and started occupying part of Syria. When we look at the Greater Israel Project map, that also includes part of Jordan. So it's actually past the sea. We know they're in the West Bank. We know these things. They want all of this. Let's go on a little bit more here. You can see the change over time. I think we showed this the first time, probably like 3 years ago on this show, how the land occupation has evolved over time. At one point, all of that green part was Palestine. And you just see like how much land was taken away, taken away, taken away. And that's how you get what you have now. Israel is not going to leave just those 2 spots there and say, whoop-de-doo, right? And then we look at this here, the Greater Israel map. So we can see there's Egypt. You see this? That's the idea of the new Middle East. They want all of it. So Benjamin Netanyahu is never going to let the Palestinian people have a state. Politicians in the U.S. know this. And politicians in other countries know this. They all know this. So the next time that you hear people say, oh, we're going to work towards a 2-state, shut that down because they are lying to you. And for Benjamin Netanyahu to make this statement, this speech, right after the whole layout, the whole plan of rebuilding in Gaza, right after he joins the peace board, which he's a part of too as well, along with war criminal Tony Blair, for him to then step aside and make this speech, which is the exact opposite of what he said when he was there with Donald Trump, it's just absolutely ridiculous. Right now, all hell has broken loose. They're not going to let these people live peacefully, and everyone needs to understand that. The board of peace is just a board of war. We are living during a time where the Trump administration has managed to convince people that peace means war. They changed the name of the Department of the Defense to the Department of War, but they're telling you they're giving you peace. And people are actually believing this. And it's the same narrative that is peddled by Benjamin Netanyahu. When Benjamin Netanyahu talks about peace, his idea of peace is removing the Palestinian people because he does not believe that there can be peace with them there. Their idea of peace and our idea of peace, it's 2 different things. And that's what people have to understand. So the board of peace is the board of war and displacement. That's what it is. And there is no real peace. And shockingly enough, again, like I said, I checked a lot of media, especially corporate media, and I'm noticing this conversation was not, was not reported in a lot of places that it should have been. So they are turning their eye away from Gaza. And this is when it gets even more scary, because when people aren't paying attention, that's when even worse things can happen. So we got to pay attention, guys. Hey guys, this was a Sabby clip. If you like what you saw, hit that like button and subscribe.